Yes, welcome to the Giddy Up podcast, episode 8. My name is Justin Tippett and I am joined by Tokemall's hottest one-legged Paralympian, Mr. Don Elgin.
Hello. Geez, I tell you what, it's a long time since I've given myself that introduction before. So it's nice that you've jumped on it, JT.
Mate, it's not hard to pick you as the hottest bloke in Tokemall with one leg because you probably were the only bloke.
Come on, mate. The
one
town
leg.
was full of people with one leg. Most of them had another one, but still, I like it. I'm going to hold on to that.
Mate, how's your week been?
Oh, it's been a big week.
All right, tell me.
I tell you why this week's been big.
All right.
Actually, it's just been a sort of normal sort of week. Today, Mum gets a message. Hey, Donnie, we're in the clear. Mum's got a bit of cancer and we spoke about
We have.
over the time. And today she had it's called a PET scan, like not,
Yep.
And
Shows up where the cancer is if it's
correct.
in the body.
And so Mum had it and it was bloody like the two fists and it stuck behind her like left tit near her heart there. And it literally, the reason we found it is because she was really struggling for breath. Anyway, over a long period of time, been having a fair bit of chemo and had the PET scan and they said, mate, it's the size of your little finger, of your fingernail. And I thought, you bloody ripper, because I don't have a fingernail on there. But Mum said, Donnie, pull your head in. It's that small. And I thought, you ripper. So today's a bloody great day, JT.
Bloody great way to start the week.
Up and about.
That's
Good on you,
what we
Mum.
like to hear. So we're going to get straight into it this week. We can't start off on a better note. Let's be honest. That's freaking awesome news, mate. So congratulations to you, your mum, and the whole family, because of course everyone rides the wave with this, right? Yeah. So awesome news for your family, and we're going to get straight into basically all our favourite stuff about what got your attention this week. And let's just say there's been a lot happening. What got your attention this week? Well, Donnie, this week. All going well in a perfect world where COVID didn't exist, it would have been Olympics.
This is it. I think we're about day 6 of the Olympics as of today. Whenever you're listening to this, so if you're listening to this tomorrow, it's day 7. But you don't know when we recorded this. So
useless information, like most of our podcasts.
Useless.
We're going early.
Yeah. However, what is bloody known for sure is the Olympics are not on. Or they will be. They've been pushed out another
2021,
year.
Basically just pushed it back a whole year, haven't
we
they?
just delete this year. But what an amazing thing. Every time I think Olympics, I must admit, and when you think about this, the fact that we only have Olympics every 4 years, and so for me, I think back and go, okay, here we are. We're going to have Tokyo, well, next year, but last time we had, what are we in, 2020? So Rio. Was it Rio? Where was in?
Yeah, I think Rio's the last one, wasn't it?
That's 16, then 12 was London, then 8 was Beijing, and then 2004, that was Athens. Athens. And then 2000, Sydney, of course, and 96, Atlanta, and
that'll do.
92, Barcelona. But it was about when I got interested.
Right.
And so I remember watching my first Olympics, and I thought, oh, mate, Ben Johnson. 88 Seoul.
100 metre.
And just built like a brick shit. And
I
thought, mate, he's awesome.
It's amazing what
then
drugs do.
Of course, come out and got busted for drugs. I thought, you bastard. So I got in my very first memory of the Olympic experience, that the roller coaster straight away, a hero to a zero. And I thought, imagine the heroes that we're missing out on this year because the Olympics aren't on. So, of course, they will be back, and I encourage people to get around them. So,
are they going to, so when the next one comes around, which would have been 2024, is everything getting pushed back so it'll be 2025? Or are they going to roll it back and there's only going to be a 3-year break until the next one?
Well, I don't have the facts, so let me make something up. I don't think they'll push it out. I think they will make it a tighter turnaround.
Yep.
So if ever there's been a chance to become a dual or a triple parallel Olympian,
right.
In that smaller window, you think that's a good chance.
People,
but
right?
the one thing, JT, gets me every single time there's an Olympics is the really good ones have that song and it gets stuck in your head. Like it's that moment. For me, 92, closing ceremony of the Olympic Games, and it was Come down, buddy. It was like an operatic. I can't remember the name, but every single time.
I like how you've really done the research for this show, Tom. That's good.
It's a Daya Zempera.
One job.
If I read the notes that I'd written for myself, I probably would have been. But seriously, look it up. 1992 Olympic closing ceremony.
We have to look it up because you can't bloody tell us.
No, but it was good. I just
so good. I can't remember it.
I couldn't sing it either. It was bloody hard to sing.
Well, that's probably good for our
opera.
listeners.
Yeah. Anyway. So what's your favourite? Have you got a favourite Olympic moment?
I did think about this, and look, I know for you, I mean, you've obviously competed at
the Olympics.
The Paralympics, where you've competed, and so it's probably a very different feel and experience for you. For me, I sort of had a flashback, and I thought, look, a lot of the songs, and I did watch a few of them, they sort of do give you that pump up, and you sort of get a bit of emotion, but But the one that really stuck out for me was probably a bit random, but it was at the Vancouver 2010 Winter Olympics.
Oh.
And it was KD Lang. And I don't know if you've seen the version, but she sung Hallelujah.
Oh, yes, right.
And
yes,
my God, it was just, I get chills just listening to it. She sung it barefoot on stage in front of billions of people, and it was just honestly one of the most amazing songs I've heard. So if you haven't seen it, look it up. KD Lang, Vancouver 2010 Winter Olympics, and kick back, turn the music up, turn the lights out, and you'll enjoy it.
Crank it. Time to Say Goodbye. That was another one as well.
Another one coming to you.
And there's a lot of tears at the closing
spark
ceremony.
in your eyes here, Donnie. Are you announcing a comeback?
See, look, no comebacks.
Okay.
No, siree.
I'm happy good scoop for the show if you.
Mate, do I look like somebody? If there's a pie eating Olympics, I'm good for it. No, mate. No, those days are gone.
Well, look, while we're on obviously talking about Olympics, and as you said, you competed in numerous Paralympics. Have you got Sydney was obviously huge, and last night I watched they did the recap of the 2000 Sydney Olympics.
So I don't watch much TV, but I've taped that to hold.
It was awesome, and it started I think 9:45 or something last night, and it finished at midnight, and I was watching it with my two kids who were 13 and 11, so it was a late night. But what was fascinating was they'd never seen it.
And of course, 20 years.
That's right. So, for me, I'm just reliving going, I remember this, I remember that. But they just never seen it. So it was, I don't know, it was a sort of proud dad moment in some respects. You just sort of go watching their reactions to it. And like they loved it still 20 years on. I think it was obviously been widely regarded. I don't think this is a biased opinion because we're Aussies, but it's still regarded as the best ever Olympics.
Games ever. Absolutely.
And Tokyo might knock us off next year. I'm looking forward to these when it finally comes around and have some special meaning. But I wanted to ask you, obviously competing in Sydney, did you have a special moment? Well, either yourself obviously competing, trumps it by getting a medal, of course.
Well, that's put that aside. Like be able to stand on the podium in your home country is something that's it's bloody next level. And talk about the home ground advantage, and you think, well, what can that be? Everyone runs down the track, but what's really interesting is I found that the home ground advantage was that one, we got to fly up for the day. So Buff and Tug and a couple of mates, we went up, and those days was Ansett, and so we got a cheap flight up there, stayed at Tug's mum's place. Tug, my arm amputee mate. And what we got to do is experience the Olympic Games on Super Sunday, I think it was. It was a stupid busy, 400,000 people in there, and it was just everywhere you went. And I just looked at Tug and said, mate, if we get half of this at the Paralympics, this is going to be bloody amazing. And at that time in our life, what I find even more fascinating today is that you ask kids about a lady by the name of Catherine Freeman, and they still know who she is, 20 years. So that is a bloody impressive stat right there. And have I got a treat for you later on the show, JT, just for the heads up for...
Drop that little teaser.
I have, mate, I have. And what I loved, probably one of my greatest moments was being able to walk into the opening ceremony, and I stood literally a metre away from Tug. And I said to him, how good is this? And he couldn't hear me. The roar was... It was bloody deafening. And we were last in, and I was literally one of the last ones in. I'd just done a piece to camera with the ABC and got interviewed by, I think it was Tony Squires back then. And, and it was bloody great. And I jumped on the back of the Aussies, and as we rolled in, I thought the crowd can't keep this up, for the entire bloody length of the Aussies to get in there. And they did. And it just roared and went up and up and up. And you look around, you will not believe this, but I saw my wife and my daughter and my family in the crowd at the opening ceremony. I threw my hat to them in the opening, and the home ground advantage really is those things that when you go to the test events or you walk in, the same officials that are officiating on a Saturday at Interclub have been able to, become volunteers for the Olympics. And all the signs around the Olympic Village and around the venues are all in English. You've been there for trial events. So that's really the home ground. And, of course, any time an Aussie goes up on the screen, the crowd just goes nuts. And, of course, they had school kids in there every single day of the Paralympics. So the noise was just deafening. So to compete in that sort of stuff, it's the stuff you don't forget, mate.
Yeah,
it was bloody awesome.
This might be a silly question, but when you spoke about the opening ceremony and walking in, did I know the Paralympics are run as a completely separate event?
Yep, a couple of weeks later.
Yeah, when you're talking about the opening ceremony, you're talking the opening ceremony to the Paralympics,
Paralympics.
or do they?
No. So
they don't combine the two.
No.
They still run
two
separate.
completely. The only time there's ever two, like there's para events in a major event like that is the Commonwealth Games.
Right.
So when you've got the Olympics, about 3 weeks later you've got the Paralympics. So Paralympics actually stands for Parallel Olympics, as opposed to like Paraplegic Olympics. So and hence we have, we use the same venues. There's only a few different modifications, and one of them is the sports like goal ball for vision impaired athletes. It's 3 of them on a court, and
we spoke about that last.
Yeah, like there's some
there
crazy.
could be a new event coming up based on last week's episode.
Yes, true story. But so there's so many different things that we get to see, but it's all it's parallel and it's the same thing, and the hype is bloody amazing.
Yeah, and I obviously remember watching the crowd. It was a massive crowd, wasn't it, at Sydney as well for yours as well?
Oh well, we had different times where the crowd was just like bananas, and definitely, as I said, predominantly kids. And one thing that I loved about the kids is because in Victoria, in the lead up to it, so places like the Institute of Sport would have programs called Sports Persons in Schools program. So I literally got to go to so many schools all over Victoria in the lead up to the Sydney Games. So when the games come around, Tim being Tug, we were inundated with like literally bags of mail. So in those days it was like Louise Savage was the other massive name in Australian sport. But most kids in Victoria, when they had a right to Olympian or right to a Paralympian day, they knew us. So and we literally plastered our walls, the roof, the lot with all these letters. It was bloody awesome. Yep. Which brings me to my next point, JT.
Shoot, what do you got?
Well, awesome. One of my favourite listeners out there, and I can't name her, but Angie, you're a bloody legend, he has said to us, Donnie, you know what, how sad is this time of COVID, and the people that are struggling the most are literally the retirees, the people that are locked down in villages. And
hard lockdown and obviously spreading like wildfire at the moment. So worrying times.
And not being able to see family, all that sort of stuff. How good would it be if we could start a campaign with no Olympics this year, no Paralympics, so you're not going to have the fan letter writing that we normally would to that thing. Imagine if you set up with your school to write to your local, retirement village.
Love it.
What a great concept.
And let's face it, if it's a demographic that love letters.
Bingo.
Yeah.
They would love it. And the kids learn to write. So everyone wins out of this, JT.
Love it.
And I reckon, hats off, Angie. You're a bloody legend. Brilliant idea. And let's make that happen.
Good on you, Ange. That is an absolutely brilliant idea. And let's hope it gets picked up. All right. What else has been happening in the week around? Tony.
Mate,
we love the Kanye
He doesn't let us
update.
down. He is the gift that keeps on giving so far. And Kanye.
I think I touched on it last week, literally just touched on it, that he sort of went a bit of a rampage on a Twitter fest. He kind of went a bit nuts. Yep. And, Kim came out with a statement.
Oh, Mrs. Kanye.
The Mrs. came out. Oh. And, obviously she's got a little bit of a following out there in the world. Yeah. Just a little.
When you say came out, like not...
No, she didn't come out that way. She
followed up on what he had to say.
She actually released a statement.
Righto. What did she say?
On Twitter, as you do.
Oh, of course.
Well... Look, I thought it was very diplomatic, actually. She said anyone who... She spoke about his bipolar disorder.
Oh, that's going to go well for his campaign.
And she said, well, anyone who has this or a loved one in their life who does knows how incredibly complicated and painful it is to understand. I've never spoken publicly about how this has affected us at home because I'm very protective of our children and Kanye's right to privacy when it comes to his health. Those that understand mental illness or compulsive behaviour know the family is powerless unless the member is a minor. And people who are unaware or far removed from this experience can be judgmental and not understand that the individual themselves have to engage in the process of getting help, no matter how hard the family try.
I don't know about you, mate, but I think Mrs. Kanye's just put a line through Mr. Presidente.
No.
What do you mean, no?
No, look, Kanye did respond on Twitter, of course, because...
That's the platform for presidents.
He did actually come out and apologise. He said, I would like to apologise to my wife, Kim, for going public with something that was a private matter. I did not cover her like she has covered me. To Kim, I want to say I know I hurt you. Please forgive me. Thank you for always being there for me.
Oh, bloody, that's presidential. Let's get him in.
So he's come out and apologised, which is good.
It is good, but just now... It's like, you know what, and jurors, they get sucked into this, right? So the good lawyers, they want something. They know it's going to be striked off, but they just drop the hint and it gets in the jury's head, and they go, and this has to now be a bit of a think twice, vote Kanye.
Well, look, there's a lot of stuff floating around now. There's rumours of Kim seeing a divorce lawyer.
Oh no!
There's rumours of Kanye seeking medical help, but he has continued to lodge his paperwork around running for president. So at this stage, it's still all systems go.
I reckon hang in there, Tiger.
You know what, at some point,
fascinating.
It's a little bit sad, isn't it? When you see that sort of stuff getting played out. I mean, clearly he's got some issues. Clearly the family, albeit they're a very famous family, are really struggling on how to cope with that and help him.
Yeah,
and reading between the lines in Kim's statement, you can only help someone when they want to help themselves, and it would appear that he's sort of been a bit resistant to that so far.
Well,
it's a tough position, isn't it?
I would hate to be in that position. I would hate to be in a position where you're doing the right thing is at the cost of somebody else, and clearly there's no question in my mind that is going to dent his. Well, maybe it won't.
Look, who knows? But, I think it's tough enough for any family, but when it's getting played out literally in front of the globe, just how much extra pressure does that put on everyone? And, I don't envy any of them being in that position.
Well,
but we'll keep talking about it because it's great fodder for our show.
We like it, and people have bloody cheered, and you always march into that presidential tune when I get here.
I do love that little presidential tune.
No, I know.
Now, it'd be reminiscent, of course, if we didn't talk about COVID, Don. It's an issue that just keeps on giving, and is not going away anytime soon. In fact, for those of you who listen in Victoria, obviously it's been a pretty rough week. No, JT, got it wrong.
I think I know you've got your own COVID experience, and I want to talk to you about that in a minute. But before I do, I think we need to back up a little bit, and I don't think that we've got it nearly as hard as the people that are on the border in New South Wales and can't get into Victoria, that would normally go to Victoria for their shopping, would normally go and see their parents. Like they are so far removed from this, it is stupid. They've got the little perimeter around Melbourne and what's that bloody other shire, some other shire, I forget off the top of my head.
Yeah, that one. Yep.
Anyway.
They keep saying it and I can't remember it either.
Anyway, the truth
is it Maroon or something?
No, it's not. Anyway, but it's not that. But I said nut with confidence. But the truth is, these border towns, Tokemore, Cobram, Baruga, Echuca, Moama, they are suffering. And Sydney might have an issue, Melbourne might have an issue, but the politicians that sit in their office and come out and draw this massive big blanket and go, here's the problem, they haven't thought this through, and it's not good enough. To be honest, I think they need to. I have got no issues at all with saying, let's lock down Melbourne. Let's wear a mask in Melbourne. This is where the problem is. It's not bloody up on the borders where they're removed from it. It can be if we let it go, but if we lock down Melbourne, then those border places are still safe. So I reckon the politicians have got to stop striking one hat fits all.
Yep.
And speaking of COVID, now I go past a COVID testing place every day. And I was a bit worried this week that I might not bloody see you, JT, because I said, I rang you up during the week, said, how you tracking, mate? And he goes, it's not my best day, Tom.
I'm not tracking well
last week. What's up, mate? And so tell me, what happened? Tell the listeners.
I did get a bit crook during the week, and it was very, very lethargic and tired. Had a couple of naps in the afternoon, which is very unlike me, for those that know me.
Got something to do with your age.
Well, I'm getting old, this is true. And but I had a really, really sore throat above everything else. I literally couldn't swallow. It was really painful. Don't go there. No. So, really painful. I thought, geez, I probably should do the right thing. I need to go and get tested.
Yeah.
So
you've been listening to your own advice, JT.
Well, that's it. I've got to get onto this. So I did what most people would do. I would have thought I went to the website, the internet, and said, testing locations.
Sure.
Now, Southland, which is a local shopping centre, had testing there, but now it's no longer at Southland. I thought, okay, I don't know why.
They moved it.
Well, it's just gone. It must have been a short-term thing only, so it's gone. I thought, okay, well, that's all right. Where's the nearest one? And I thought, I looked, they had a bit of a list of some there and a map and stuff, and I thought, I'm sure there was one at Southland. They had a phone number on the website. Now, this is the Victorian government website.
Right.
They had a 1-800 number. To find your nearest location, ring this hotline.
Yep.
1-800. I thought, okay, happy days. So I ring the hotline and I strike an IVR. Now, we spoke about an IVR last week, Don. Press 1 for this, press 2 for that.
Yep.
Now, this is a hotline to find your nearest outlet. They had 8 options on the IVR.
Wow.
Not one of them referred to find your nearest location.
Not
up. One of them.
Holy, how'd that not get in the bloody blowtorch? That needs a kick in the
I literally couldn't even work out which one had which option to press to get the answer I wanted, which I thought was a pretty simple bloody question. Just where's my nearest place to get tested? So in the end, I thought, you know what, bugger this. Obviously, I'd literally tried a few of the options on the phone and got like palmed off left, right, and centre. It was ridiculous. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go on the map, see the facilities are there. And I had a couple that were relatively close.
Okay.
One of them was Springers, which
that's
is
the one
down
I
your
drive
way.
past.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. So and at the time, I don't know how real time the information was. It said it was about a 45-minute wait on the website. I thought, bugger that. And the other one was Clayton Hospital. Now, that's not too far away from where I live as well. I thought, you know, I'll go to Clayton Hospital.
Right.
So literally I'm on the app. I jump in the car and I'm like, right, I'm off. I'm going to get this done now. And obviously you're not feeling the best if you've got symptoms, you're already feeling a bit under the weather already, right? So you're like, oh, shit, I've just got to get this done, all right? I'm not feeling great, but I'm going to go out. I'm going to get it done. And so I jump in the car. I had the website still there on the list on the Victorian government website. And it says Clayton Hospital, click here for directions. Great. Click it. Pretty much brings up like a Google Maps equivalent. I literally follow that. I go down to the hospital. Clayton's a very big hospital, right? It's one of the biggest in Melbourne for those that don't know. Yep. And anyway, the map takes you basically around, not where the public car park, not the main entrance. There's like a section around the back of the hospital. Yeah, yeah. And so the
sort of heads around to the children's section.
Yeah. So the map actually takes you around the back of the hospital. So, oh, beauty, they must have set up a testing station around the back. Makes sense, yeah. Yep. So I get around the back. There's 3 blokes standing there in a fluoro top thing. I thought, oh, they must be the blokes, telling you what to do. Yep. And there was no signage, no nothing. Huh? I thought, this is a bit weird. So I went in the window down and said, oh, hey, guys, where's this testing station? The guy goes, mate, I've got no idea, but I don't think it's here. It had nothing to do with the COVID testing. There was no COVID testing whatsoever in that location at all. I thought, you've got to be shitting me. Like, this is their map on the government website to go to Clayton. So I go, you know what? I'll just go and park the freaking car. I'll go into the main entrance. Obviously, they're doing it inside. Right. So I park the car in, and don't even get me started on the car parking prices at hospitals. Yeah. And so I park the car. I walk into the main entrance, feeling like crap, mind you, as I think I've already pointed out. I get to the main entrance, and there is an A4 printout saying, if you're here for COVID testing, and there was another address, which was another 5 minutes up the road. I was just going, this is just going from bad to worse. I went back to the car, jumped in the car, drove 5 minutes up the road to this other place that was there. I mean, so look, as much as it was really annoying and frustrating for me, this is times a bazillion people that would have gone through the same process. And we want people to do the right thing.
Yes.
And this is just to get a simple, basic test that everyone is encouraging you to do when you got symptoms. So it was a pathetic experience, and I've got some other stuff I want to talk about in the customer service segment later, which is why I'm bringing it up now. Right. But it was pretty appalling.
Well, I'll tell you what, that is probably appalling personified, because you're switched on, JT. It's not like English is your second language. It's not like you don't know your way around a website. So for you to be having that experience, I know Premier Dan listens to our podcast, mate. Bloody lift your game, please.
Pull your head out. So I was pretty ordinary. And
get your team sorted.
But look, once we got to the actual testing spot, I was probably standing in a queue for about 15 minutes, which wasn't too bad.
Yeah, that's fair.
The actual test itself was over and done in about a minute. It wasn't too painful. And, the results came back to me in literally, I think it was just over 24 hours later, I got my results. So,
and what were they?
Yes, sorry. So look, got the all clear. But again, one of the things that just was a bit of a lightning bolt moment for me was I thought, okay, well, as soon as I did the test and I got home and I thought, well, shit, I've got to isolate now. I can't obviously go out until I get the results back. And suddenly I'm like, I'd spoken to a doctor that morning on a telephone consult because you don't want to see him. And I said, well, man, I've got a rippingly shit sore throat. Do I need some antibiotics or something? And he said, well, he said, look, get the test and everything. But if the test comes back negative and you've just got a throat infection, you'll need some antibiotics. And I said, well, man, it's freaking sore. You just want to prescribe that now and let's get this party started. Yeah. He said, yeah, of course. But he goes, you can't come and get it though.
How do you get them?
So I had to, luckily, the good ex went and got it for me and dropped them off, which was bloody awesome.
So it wasn't like Uber drug delivery or something. I was wondering what is happening if you don't have that.
Well, this is my point though, because I thought, well, shit, what do people do? I was lucky enough. I got some friends or family that I could call on to go and do that for me. Yep. And then the other thing that just struck me was I probably should have been a bit smarter about it earlier, or maybe not. Was well, shit, I've got no food. Yeah. And so I'm going to be potentially holed up. They said it could take 3 to 5 days to get the test results back. So I thought, well, shit, if I'm here for 5 days.
We can see why people, and then why the system doesn't work.
That's exactly right. And you know what? There was no answers. There was no support on the website. If you're in this position, ring here, or Uber do this, or Chemist Warehouse do home deliveries, or just some real basic shit to help people. It was just really lacking. So you sort of go, geez, I get it. And if I didn't know that, I probably would have done my shopping earlier because I could have gone, I'm going to go and get a test in a minute. Maybe I'll go and do my shopping now because then I've got to lock myself down.
Yeah.
But the reality is if I was positive, I'm out there spreading it.
Well,
already.
You would have had a mask on anyway.
Of course now.
Still,
but you can see why.
Yeah, you can see how it got to the numbers it did and easy enough.
Yeah, that's right. So it's, a pretty shit experience. So anyway, that's the COVID experience, and I'm sure other people are going to, share their experiences as time goes on, but there is clearly a lot of room for improvement.
Right, JT, rookie mistake. Now, what we want to do is we want people to get tested, right? So when you want someone to taste something, you don't go, oh, that tastes like shit, try it. You say, oh, this is yum, taste that. So we should have told everyone it's bloody real pleasant. They stick a lovely little cotton up your nose.
I must admit, I was a little bit anxious about the actual test.
Did you get that? Is that what it was?
You know what? They actually took a swab down my back of my throat, which was bloody sore anyway. And honestly, it didn't hurt. And they took a little bit of a twirl up your nose. Look, it was a little bit uncomfortable, but it wasn't painful.
Yeah,
and
right.
So if people have sort of been having second thoughts around, should I? I don't really want to do it. It's, this thing's about going into my brain. It wasn't that bad, I promise you.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
And there was kids getting tested, in the queue and stuff, and I didn't see anyone coming out crying or anything. So honestly, it wasn't that bad.
And the true question, did you get a lolly? Like you go to the dentist, they give you a lolly to get you back next time?
No lollies, no nothing. Although the one thing, and I know a lot of people are dealing with this, and particularly females at the moment with the whole mask wearing, is it's really tough to read people. Your mouth gives away so much.
Yeah.
And, is it friend or foe kind of thing, yeah?
Yeah, right.
And so for a lot of females that are out there walking now and they see a big burly bloke walking towards them.
Yeah, which is you.
That's a bloody scary proposition for a lot of females. I know there's a lot of people struggling with that concept at the moment. Right. And even just getting tested. I had a guy that was doing my testing, and I don't know if that was a deliberate strategy with guy for guy or whatever, but you just couldn't read, Like I didn't know if he was a nice, friendly guy, and it's hard to understand because their mouth's covered and you can't sort of read.
Yeah. So well, spare a thought, JT. What about the people? I'm hard at hearing. Like I've got more bloody, issues going on than I care to remember. But I often use people's lip movement. Like I can't lip read, but it certainly bloody helps to be able to see that. So, but people that have no hearing at all. They've basically been silenced.
That's right. Yeah,
and so there's a world of people out there that are really struggling. So I think the greatest thing we can do as a society is just take a chill pill because we don't know what the other person's dealing with, and hopefully we're able to make this a good out of a bad situation.
Yeah, I've actually noticed some of the new masks out for deaf people. They've got clear perspex where your mouth is, and I'm assuming it's not maybe as effective as absorbing and stuff, but at least you can still read the person's mouth, which would resolve some of those issues.
Sure would. That's awesome.
Now, moving on from COVID.
Yes.
The magpies, Donnie.
Oh, they're dickheads, these magpies.
I hate those. Those are feral supporters and missing teeth.
Actually,
and is that?
No, go on, because I like any time we bag magpies. But no, I was actually talking about the birds.
Oh, the real magpies.
Like, things are different, JT. The world has gone. Well, they're swooping. There's innocent.
They always swoop, mate. What's
no, they don't. They normally set their watch and come out around springtime. They've built their nests and they're looking after the kitties and go, righto, springtime, buddy, time to look after the nest. They're out now. Oh, we've got reports, right? Reports from bloody Toke Tells and SRN local newspaper writing to Giddy Up podcast saying, we've got this lunatic woman running down a street with a bloody tennis racket, thinks she's Yvonne Goolagong, swinging it around, trying to get rid of these magpies. So
community service announcement. They've started early this year.
They've started early. Take your tennis racket when you go walking and your mask and your sanitizer and everybody. Anyway, look out. They're out.
Now, we've got some good news as well, Donnie, on the football front. Now, for most people that know me, well, everyone that knows me knows that I'm a pretty passionate North Melbourne supporter.
Pathetic North Melbourne supporter.
Look, we're not travelling.
What shirt have you got on, Joe?
No, not North today. But it's fair to say we're not travelling that well this year.
Yeah, it's great. Well, apart from Reece, because we like Reece.
I do like Reece, sure. Good bloke. You've done some work with Reece.
He was around. Actually, he was playing at Collingwood when I was at the Institute of Sport, and of course we shared facilities. So Reece held the record for the best Collingwood boy on the speedball. So I held it for the VIS, the best one-legged guy on the speedball, and Tim Tugg held it for best one-arm on the speedball. There we go. So we get our record. So tell me about North. What's going on down there at Kangaroo Land?
Well, I'd just like to thank you, Donnie, because it's through your contacts that we managed to get some amazing audio about some breaking news that just came out today when we're recording it. So let me just play a little bit of that clip for you.
What do you got?
Like that build-up?
I'm fortunate enough to be able to present this to everyone, but one of our own has been through a pretty substantial period in his life, no doubt. But we've all been a part of the journey. It's been 706 days since he's played AFL football. We've seen his journey. We've seen how much work he's done to get back to this point. It's been an incredible journey. And this feat that he's going to achieve this weekend is going to be one of the great stories in AFL footy. So join with me, congratulating the big fella.
So that was the captain of North Melbourne, Jack Siebel, announcing that Majak Daw, and most people, even if you don't follow North, have probably heard about the Majak Daw story.
That was big.
Yeah, look, a couple of years ago, he had an incident on the Westgate Bridge. I think it's been widely reported.
Bolte Bridge?
The Bolte Bridge. Sorry,
Bridge,
my apologies. Yeah. And ended up doing a lot of damage to his body. And it was thought at the time he'll never play football again. So it's been a huge comeback. He's played a few reserve games. He was due to play at the start of this year and tore a pec muscle in the gym. And they were talking season ending at that point. And then ended up only sort of being a 6 week or so recovery, and he's now selected this week for his first game in 706 days. So whether you follow North Melbourne or not, I think it's a bloody great story, albeit from tragic circumstances. But he's had a second shot at life. He's got a new kid, or his first child, as well, and he's back playing footy.
How good is that, JT? How do you feel as a supporter?
I'm pumped. Like, it's just you can't help but get emotionally involved in the players that you watch, and of course, I mean, I don't know the guy. I've seen him train before, and I've just got a bit of man love for that. His body is just incredible.
Similar,
oh my God, he's about 10% the size of him. He's a massive unit.
When I looked at you and then looked at him, I've gone, that's just ridiculous.
Majak is no difference. He's awesome, and but when you see just what he's had to go through, I've seen some of the videos of his rehab and stuff where he literally couldn't walk. To now going back to playing at the highest level is awesome, and I think hopefully the boys can get up, and as I say, I think we've lost 5 or 6 lost in a row, so hopefully they can get up and put a good. We're playing Carlton, who also aren't travelling too well. So
we're playing Carlton.
We're playing Carlton. I don't even know who we're playing.
I had a buddy bet with a
Adelaide. We're playing Adelaide. Sorry, we're playing Adelaide.
Yeah.
We're literally the 2 bottom teams in the AFL.
Well, that'll be worth.
So we're half a chance.
There's something worth watching for now for that game.
That's exactly right.
Excellent. Well, good on you, Majak.
Good on you, Madge. It is bloody great news. Very, very happy for you.
Brings good results. Righto. And speaking of football, Carlton can get stuff, mate. I've got a bet this week with Carlton.
Okay.
And I'm just getting an early case they beat us. But all the Carlton supporters out there,
get stuffed.
All right. And Swans, you can get stuff too.
Yeah, we don't like Swans. I don't know why, but
cost me a bottle of vodka that bet last week.
Backing you in, Donny.
They can get stuff.
Now, one of the things we love about the way we help set things up is getting feedback from our listeners about what you want us to discuss, these topics, all that sort of stuff. So Janine sent us a question or some comments around Aussie made, and obviously there's a bit of a sentiment now. I think we've seen the struggles with getting stuff from offshore, and now the ongoing issues with China, and it was like, what can we do to actually help Aussie businesses?
I nearly said China.
Donny, Donny, we can't make racist jokes about I had that in from a couple of weeks ago. You like that? I just remembered it. So, look, it's a great question, Janine. And I think, where we can, I think everyone's pretty keen to support Aussie businesses as best they can. So, a couple of websites I wanted to refer people to. One is just the official site, which is australianmade.com.au. And that actually lists a whole bunch of businesses there that obviously are Australian made. And you'll see the logo on there. I'm going to talk about the logo in a second. The other website, it's actually a new one. It only came out literally a couple of months ago, called buyaussie.now.com.au. So buyaussie.now.com.au. And again, it's a really a website put together in Australia for Aussies, and it's got pretty much a whole bunch of businesses there, and that if the business is in there, that you're supporting a local Aussie business.
And you got to be happy with that, don't you? Like, I'm a bit of a fan. I've looked at it for years. Gone, why are our Aussie prices so bloody dear? That's why we struggle to buy the stuff. But then you look at what our farmers, with drought and bushfires and the struggles they have. Why wouldn't we want to look after our own? At whatever cost, we should be saying, hey, this is us and we need to support us.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily at any cost. I mean, the reality, we're all...
In reality...
I know, but everyone's under the pump financially more than ever at the moment, right? And the reality is Australian goods are typically very expensive. Yes, the quality we would like to think is exceptional, but the salaries in Australia are so far removed from the rest of the world, which therefore inflates the prices of most of our stuff. So,
of course.
But I think what we are finding is, quality is remembered long after price is forgotten. And
it's an old favourite of yours, JT.
Is.
You've told me that a few times.
And I think it's worth sometimes paying that little bit extra with the added bonus of knowing that you're also supporting jobs for family, friends, your kids, their future, etc.
You know where I reckon we get screwed or stuffed up is when we go, yeah, right, I'm going to stay in that hotel because like it's Australian, like you feel like you're doing, but you book through a what if or one of those websites or bookings.com and so our guys get screwed again.
Yep.
And so I tell you what, anytime you can do business with the business, that's my tip. Do business with the business.
And look, it wasn't on our run sheet, but I know with Uber Eats, very popular. And but Uber Eats take 30% pretty much is their flat rate. So for the restaurants, they lose almost money. They make stuff all when you're booking through Uber. Now, you could certainly argue, well, at least they're getting something over nothing. Sure. But a lot of restaurants you'll see now will actually encourage you to book direct with them. They'll have their own online booking tool or something. And so I've got like a local Thai shop that I order from. They give you 10% off and free delivery when you order through them directly, as opposed to Uber Eats.
Oh, happy days! So, well, that's right. They're missing out on 20%. So
that's exactly right. So so wherever you're possible, so if you've got a local restaurant, ask them next time you're in there if there's a way that you can book direct. Now, Donnie, with the Aussie Made, I just wanted to show you, and I will put this up for our listeners as well on the page, that we've actually, I don't know if you know the Aussie Made logo. Have you seen it?
Kangaroo in the green triangle.
That's the one. So we just spent literally a whole bunch of money, and after literally decades that we've had that same logo widely known, they've decided to come up with a new logo. Now, legit for our listeners, and if you're watching this on our video, Don hasn't seen this before. So
you mentioned you had a surprise.
Yeah, so I wanted to show you and just get your reactions.
Oh. Really? So what are they going with?
I'm just going to show that to our listeners there that can see it as well.
So the new logo.
I'll just describe it to you, but it's essentially a gold wattle tree or something with the letters AU in the middle of it. It looks like something I could have whipped up in a few minutes. Now,
I reckon we've paid a shitload for that too.
We did.
Some agency is just sitting back going, we'll just drop a blob of paint and see what happens.
But what do you reckon? Does it say AU? Well, literally it says AU, but...
Well, I reckon it's shit. Like Australian made. And so we're ditching the...
Gone. Yeah, gone. So this is the new logo.
That's going to be a hard sell. Like seriously, what... Sometimes
shit, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is shit. That's a dud.
So we'll put it up, and you guys can make your own opinion on what you think on their page. But anyway,
I wish I had known about that. I would have got my little boy to make that up.
I reckon he could have done a better job. I reckon.
Yes, he could have.
Now, Lorraine, one of our listeners, also sent in. G'day, Lorraine, and for
hello,
those
Lorraine.
listening, Lorraine is one of my mums.
Well,
so
lucky I was about to say something
in the blood, and. Yeah, Lorraine sent in a bunch of questions, and we'll tackle some of them later in some later shows, Lorraine. But one of the questions she said was, what are the learnings that we should keep and discard post COVID-19? So I want to ask you, Don.
Yes.
Have you got any learnings, to date? I mean, we've been in this now for a few months.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, JT. If I've had a big learning around this, and it's to back myself, because years ago when we first started having children, my beautiful wife and I, we said, right, G'day, Boof. We're gonna raise these kids like humans. We're gonna have conversations with them when they stuff up. We're gonna let them know there's a bit of corporal punish in my house. That's no worries about that. But we have literally spent for the last 20 years, and Nutto's I think 21, 22 now, or actually 22 in a couple of weeks. So I better get that right. And we've spent that time raising people that we want to hang out with. So for me, COVID has been like, you little bloody ripper. I've built a house I want to live in, and I've got people in it I want to hang out with. And so whether it's my wife or my kids, and it's just like, if nothing else, COVID has reminded me that I've done a bloody good job there working on that, making sure we've got that. So, yeah, for me, the other part, and I had an awesome chat with a bloody legend you'll meet her later today, was that we were talking about the kids are going to have this. So if I said to you, JT, what do you remember about your childhood? Make no mistakes, our kids are going to remember this, that lockdown, that ISO, what is the experience that we're providing for our kids? Are they learning from us that we hate being together? Are they learning that, hey, that's okay, shit happens and we can deal with this? So think about that lesson. So for Lorraine, my answer to you is we can learn what are we teaching our kids by our actions.
Awesome. Love it. Thanks for sharing, Donnie. Now, Melanie also sent in, she wanted our thoughts, Don. And, I'm just going to play a little commercial for you.
What do you got?
G'day. Come and I'll show you some of my favourite spots around Australia. Coon Namble, Coon Alpin, couldn't do a bridge. Stop the fridge. Coonawara, Coon Boomerang, Coonabara Brown loves that coon taste, man.
Now let's talk to some real cheese experts.
You mean Coon Cheese experts, Peter?
See what I mean?
Coon Cheese, Donny.
Peter Russell Clark.
That's the man. Well,
geez.
guess
What's
what?
happened?
Coon Cheese are going to change their name, Don.
Bullshit.
No, they're out. They're done. Too offensive, mate. It's racist.
No, like I know we touched on like a million bloody things that were named racist, and but wasn't Coon Cheese named after a fella? Isn't that?
Yeah. He's American. Edward William Coon, 1871 to 1934. He actually patented a unique ripening process, which is, funnily enough, known as the cooning process, and that's what was used to manufacture the original Coon cheese.
Yeah, okay. I thought we'd moved on from this, JT. I thought, yeah, okay, the bubble has burst and a little bit of reality's coming back.
No.
Mate, I got nothing good to say about that. Mum always said to me, you've got nothing good to say, don't say anything.
Nothing, giving them nothing. Well, Donnie, they're owned by a company called Saputo. Coon Cheese is now owned by Saputo, the brand. And they've released a statement. And they said one of their basic principles as an organisation is to treat people with respect and without discrimination, and we will not condone behaviour that goes against this. As such, we performed a careful and diligent review of a sensitive situation involving one of our brands. I think we all know which brand that is. And they said we wanted to ensure we listened to all the concerns surrounding the Coon brand name, while also considering comments from consumers who cherish the brand and recognise the origin of its founder, Edward William Coon, which they feel connected. However, after thorough consideration, we've decided to retire the brand name. We're working to develop a new brand name that will honour blah, 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 and we believe we all share in the responsibility to eliminate racism in all its forms, and we feel this is an important step we must take to uphold this commitment. Does that change your mind, Donnie, when you hear their statement?
JT, I am doing everything I possibly can to stay measured here. Who is the company again?
What do we call them? Saputo, Saputo. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Saputo, you and the executive team that have endorsed this
where's
are the biggest pack of fucking wankers on the planet. I shit you not, that is gone beyond the fucking realm of reality. It's a bloke's name.
Jesus.
JT.
No, Donnie.
I've got issues with that.
Kids show, right? Oh, Jesus
Kids,
Christ.
yeah, grow up listening. If an executive takes one bloody cent of profit this year or any year after changing the name of the founder, what a bunch of gutless pricks, JT. This is not about racism. This is
Is it not though?
It's his bloody name.
Of course it's his name, but clearly Coon is an offensive term.
No, that's the issue I've got. Someone decide, okay, so I'm going to say JTs. JTs mean you're tall, dark, got all your features and you got, you know what, I'm offended because I'm bloody missing bits. So what, are we going to eradicate all the JTs? No, it makes no bloody sense at all. It's bullshit. What's next? That's
So, Donnie, I feel like I've got my finger on the button. I wanted to ask you about, what do you think we need to do about Eskimo pies, Donnie?
I don't mind Eskimo pies. They taste nice. No, but Coon Cheese, that's
now in the spotlight, Eskimo pies. And what about Cocoa Pops, Donnie?
I don't mind Cocoa Pops. They're just like a chocolate milkshake, only crunchy.
Yeah, that's right, but offensive.
Okay. No, seriously, I went one time in a podcast. I went too far.
All right, maybe don't go any further. But again, we're interested.
I learned my lesson but I just, you know what? I am only a voice of the people. JT, if I'm wrong, please educate me about why we should. Can somebody, instead of some consultant flog, because we already saw what they did to the Australian bloody logo. Fuck this.
You know, there's a chili. You like your chilies? We had that
I don't
little
mind
chili
chilies,
bed.
yeah,
You know, there's a
chilies.
brand. I don't know if you've seen it before. It's literally called Shit the Bed.
Yes, I've seen that.
How is that okay? Just quietly? Because
they're not offending
It's not offending anyone.
No,
That's
people
all right.
shit the bed all the time.
Oh, okay.
It's
That's
nothing.
I thought,
Can't believe they're changing Coon. Like, I took the piss saying, no, they'll never change that. It's bloody Mr. Coon.
Yeah, no. Well, sorry. Mr. Coon's surname is offensive and it's been changed. There you go. All right, Donnie, there we go. That was a lot to cover off in this episode, so we're going to sort of fly through some of the rest of the stuff, but we've got some good stuff coming up for you. I'll tell you what.
Rather be adopted.
Bloody awesome.
I just want to listen to that.
Like it's a little catchy tune,
baby,
I love it.
buddy, rocket jet thing. I like that, JT. Right, now, you're adopted.
Hello.
Now, you are adopted. We've met your family at, unfortunately, your grand's funeral. Your mum has passed away since we've started this story. Well, not since we started this story, but we've got through to that point in your story.
Yes.
And we've met your dad. You are a prick. That is the advice I've received from so many of our listeners because you left them hanging. You finally met your dad in the cafe in, was it Carlton? Where did you meet him?
In
that cafe?
Armadale.
Armadale.
Giorgio's in
a lot
Armadale.
of good things in Armadale.
Bloody great restaurant too.
And so you met your dad. Pick up there, JT. What was it like?
So I did. So we organised the day and...
Whoa, stop. Sorry.
Okay.
First thing your mum said when she laid eyes on you is
you look exactly like your father.
Do you? Did you? What happened?
You know what? So it's fair to say I was absolutely shitting myself on the day.
Right.
Honestly, time just took forever that day. It was like getting to lunchtime, like, are we there yet? And a minute later, I'm looking at my watch and bloody hell. But anyway, finally the moment came. Now, my dad, Jeff, did actually say that he was bringing someone along with him.
Right.
And it turns out he brought his best mate along with him, who was also his GP. And
oh, wow.
So, and my dad was very nervous about meeting me for a whole bunch of reasons. One, he had no idea what I was going to be like.
And he'd already connected with you on the phone because you'd written letters and pretended you were from the
Preston Market.
Preston Market and tried to worm your way into the family. And then you said, hey, hang on a minute, Charlie, we've got to meet.
Yeah, so he was certainly never very keen.
So
I said, did say enough's enough and forced the meeting, I guess. And I actually remember him saying to me, it was a conversation a couple of years before that, and he was still resisting. And I really pushed. I think it was when I was around 38.
Right.
And I said to him, I said, mate, you owe me at least that, to have a meeting with you. And he said, mate, I don't owe you anything. And I just thought, what a prick. Like,
how did that feel?
It wasn't great. I was pretty pissed off at the time. I
feel shit you telling me that, and I'm sitting here.
I just took a big breath and I thought, oh, you asshole. But anyway, again, we finally got there. So we finally get
Did you take anyone with you?
No. So I went by myself, and I've got a history of probably going to big moments on my own. And
have you? Right. Okay.
I have, and I always struggle asking for help, and you probably know that. I reluctantly hardly ever ask for help. And and I've got to start accepting that because it's lovely that people want to help you, and I think you keep saying no, it's a shit thing. So I'm getting better at that.
Good boy.
So if anyone wants to help me, just give me a yell. Cash in
my
bank account or
I don't think they're offering that.
No. So anyway, big day comes and I'm walking in and I honestly didn't know what he looked like.
Right.
Other than apparently he looked like me when he was 20 odd or 40 odd years ago, right? So so anyway, I walked in and look, he did tell me he was quite overweight, and that was one of the reasons he was really reluctant on meeting me.
Right.
He was very embarrassed about his weight, and so anyway, so I walk in and there was a pretty big unit. That's fair to say, and I'm like, I reckon that's him. and there was another guy with him, and of course it turns out obviously it was him, and he was a big guy.
Okay.
Like
well, you're 6 what?
I'm 6'3" or 6'4", somewhere around there. He would have been 6'6", 6'7".
Okay.
And
wow.
he would have been 200 kilos plus. He was a
big unit.
Big boy.
Right. Okay.
And I was in reasonable shape at the time.
Yep.
And then he goes, I know you're not going to believe this, but I used to look just like you. And I thought, funny, I've heard that before somewhere.
My dad said that to me a few times.
And but he did actually, it was actually a AFL football. So
is that right?
Yeah. So he never made it into the main. He played AFL, but he didn't play a senior game, so to speak.
Right.
So,
okay. Yeah.
So he obviously was pretty fit back in the day, and I remember my mum Helen. I thought she'd always said he was a boxer, and she just remembered him being really fit. And,
right.
And I sort of asked him. He goes, no. He goes, I was AFL football. Oh, okay, there you go. So something. So
yeah. Then you started thinking about, how's my left, how am I on my right? I'm a pretty good kick. That's maybe where I get it.
Yeah, maybe. And anyway, look, it was he was really nice. He was very funny, and
Was he?
we got along like a house on fire.
He would have been good in his podcast because we could do it.
That's right. And his mate, the doctor, hung around literally for about 5 minutes. He realised that we were hitting it off pretty well, and just said, "Got a bail," and left us to it. So,
okay, that would have been their little code.
It's exactly right.
Yep.
So sort of passed the first test, so to speak. And he just said to me, he goes, "I can't believe," he goes, "you're such a nice guy," and I think he just must have just pictured the worst, that I was a drug addict. I just escaped from prison, or I don't know what he had in his mind.
Well, most people do think that when they first the male model.
So look, we ended up. I can't remember how long it was. It was a couple of hours, and he said, "Look, ask anything you like. I'll try and answer all your questions for you." And I had lots of questions, as you can imagine, and he did. And look, I'd done a lot of research, obviously before that, so I already knew at that point that he had 3 kids.
Right.
So I had 3 half brothers.
Wow.
So same dad, different mum, obviously.
Okay.
So I already knew that, and I knew a fair bit about them as well. I'd done my research, and some call it stalking. I like to call it research. And he was really honest about that. He said, "Look, I've got some stuff to tell you, and you've got 3 boys," and told me what they did, and because I knew all that, so it just sort of gave me a bit of validation that I knew he was being upfront with me,
he wasn't
telling me
bullshitting.
everything. Yeah, because he didn't know I knew that. So
of course,
so it was good. So he did answer a lot of questions, and it was pretty. It was a good moment, and got to meet him, and I didn't take a photo. I still bloody regret that, but never took a photo. But we spent a couple of hours together, and it was a good time.
Now I know we are going to fly through the rest of this podcast, but before I let you go, he said to you that you've got siblings. Right. I just want to. We're going to go there at some point.
Well, we are.
Or are we?
Well, we are, and to some limits. But I'll explain what those limits are.
Right.
But it's fair to say that, or what I can, I guess, reveal now is that Jeff, my dad's family, had no idea that I existed.
Wow.
None whatsoever.
Wow.
So, he was 16 at the time, and, his family was certainly aware of the situation.
Yeah.
And they kind of just wanted it to all go away.
Of course.
And it did kind of go away. And he ended up meeting what became his wife not long after he had met, Helen, my mum.
Your mum. Yep.
And he'd never, ever had the conversation with her about obviously having a kid, earlier with someone else. And when they then go on to get married, and mind you, I come onto the scene 40 years later. He'd never mentioned it to her.
Wow.
And I guess the longer that went on, the harder the lie is I knew I forgot to tell you something. I've got a kid. Did I mention that one?
No, I got one for you. So did he say it was a relief to meet you? Was it like a burden, or was like, oh fuck no, I've got to have that conversation?
I think you could literally see, as I said, he was a big guy, but you could almost just see literally the weight come off his shoulders a little bit when he realised that I wasn't a nutcase at least.
Yeah.
And he was like, you're a really nice guy, and we really connected. And I think, obviously he was probably expecting something different.
Yeah.
And so I think it was a real sort of burden off his shoulders a little bit to realise that, actually, you know what, his kid's actually all right.
Yeah. And he got to know you and probably changed his mind a bit.
As we got to know each other, it's maybe that changed, right? So, so obviously for him, and we'll explore that in later episodes, but it was a big secret, which is why obviously he just kept everything at an arm's distance.
Yep.
And there was just never a right time for him, in his mind anyway, to tell the family. And obviously that would be a very hard conversation to have with your wife.
Sure.
And I suspect,
which reminds me, I've got a couple of balls. No.
Dun, dun, dun. And obviously really conversation not only to have with your wife, but then probably to your kids as well, because there was an order, the pecking order of the oldest to the youngest, and suddenly there's another one on the scene that no one knows about. And shit, what else has Dad lied to us about? Maybe you can imagine some of the stuff that's going through his head. So it was a big deal. Are
you happy to continue this story?
Of course, mate. We will dig in a bit further, and the story will continue to get a little bit more interesting.
Well, I like it.
Driving.
Oh, now, JT, this was going to be piss funny last week. What was funny
it's not as funny this week.
You didn't put it in the little bip,
kind of
bip,
put
bip,
it
bip.
in
You
a
have
little
one
magic
job,
box
JT.
over here. I know, I was this bloody idiot. Well,
Right.
actually, I was telling Don off air to be truthful. I was telling Don off air.
This is the funny bit.
I actually did have it in the bloody box. I just didn't realise what I'd called it. So anyway, it was there all along. But the whole idea of this segment is we bring you something funny, and I'm just going to let the person actually introduce it because I think they sum it up pretty well.
This jogger being interviewed by an Australian network obviously had no idea how most media interviews begin.
First and last name, please.
Erica O'Donnell.
And can you spell first and last?
FirstLast.
I meant your first and last name.
Oh, Donnie,
that's an abomination, mate. I'm fair to go. That is gold.
Can you spell first and last?
Well, she did spell it.
Well,
like,
she
to
did.
her credit.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
sometimes
right. And she
spelling
got it
is
right
hard.
too.
She did get that right.
Yes.
Yes.
Good
So,
stuff. I
Erica
like
O'Donnell, I think her name was. Well played. That was funny. Good job.
Like that one?
And thanks
Excellent.
for putting it in this week, JT.
Oh, pleasure.
What's next? Oh, JT takes me back. This is the diary, Don's diary. I've ripped out a page.
A lot of good feedback from last week, Donnie. I actually love that it was sort of visiting back into your childhood and seeing it through a different lens. So have you got more of that this week or have we got something else?
A lot more. No. I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm just randomly just going to rip pages because I keep a lot of diaries. So and somebody actually, Sarah, the lovely Sarah, wrote to me recently and said, I just love the detail that's in your book. And the reason there was so much detail is because I keep diaries. So, and this is an excerpt from my diary. 2nd of February, 1982, I'm 6 years old. Today was a good day and a bad day. The good day was because I went to school. The bad day was because we have to chase girls. Today I was excited. I got up early and I got dressed for school. I had my shoes on the wrong feet, but Mum fixed them. I was excited because I was going to school with Jason, Heather. Donna can't come yet because she's just a little kid and I'm a school kid now. I couldn't wait to get to school. Jason told me last night, school is great. We get to eat 2 times, at recess and lunch, and we get to play sport and chase girls. I like eating and playing sport, but I don't know why Jason said we have to chase girls. We already have 2 sisters and we don't need any more girls. He said, I'd learn. Editor's note, I have. Anyway, when I went to school, I saw some kids sooking at the school gate. He must have had lots of girls in his family because he really didn't want any more. He was screaming and hanging on to the gate. At lunch, some kid called me Skippy and Eileen, even though my name is Donnie. I cried and Jason told me, don't worry, they're just dickheads. At lunch, the dickheads called me some other names, but Jason told them if they do it again, they're in deep shit. My day at school was okay. I learnt some kids are dickheads and girls are hard to catch. That was JT, 2nd of February, 1982.
How you going with catching the girls these days, Donnie?
Well, don't need to, mate. I caught a ripper about 23 years ago and fortunately, she was a slow runner.
It worked out all right. Love it. I love getting that insight into your childhood because, you know, you probably would have got called a lot of names, and obviously Eileen.
I didn't realise how funny that is for a leg amputee.
Kind of funny, isn't it?
That's piss funny. And we should do that more. We should laugh at piss funny stuff, and we should get angry at stuff that's worth getting angry over. But for
if
me,
anyone's sort of going, what the joke is, or what do you call a guy with one leg or a girl with one leg?
It's Eileen.
What? Because they lean.
Because I do.
Very funny.
Jokes are never as funny when you have to explain it. Talking of jokes and good stuff, JT.
Yes, Donnie.
This is what they've come for.
Ah, yes.
What do you got a stinger for this? We got it.
Donnie. Dad joke of the week.
I shit you not, JT. I put a lot of warnings around last week's jokes.
We did drop the C-bomb last week, but I promise there is no just happily quickly scanning through this joke. I'm pretty sure we're good for this one.
All right.
I'm going to do my best not to swear a lot in this one. There is a little tiny... we're all
like
good.
that you
We're all good.
told the kids, drink your milk, kiddies, like time to go.
Well, you know what? I think most people are okay with, you know, the S word and the F word. I think it's becoming pretty commonplace.
Well, they're listening
the C
to
word,
this.
I think is still pushing the boundaries a bit still, isn't it? So,
hopefully that never becomes commonplace, except for in that joke.
The context was, I think, appropriate.
Spot on.
That
Very
joke.
well delivered.
All right, so look, we're going to get into this. This got 2 jokes for you,
right,
Lonnie.
Okay.
So here's our first one. There was a guy at a bar, and he was just staring there, looking at his drink, and he stays like that for about half an hour, literally just looking pretty sad, staring at his drink. And this big troublemaking truck driver steps up next to him, takes the drink from the guy, and just drinks it all down.
Turn it up.
I know. And the man just starts crying. And this big burly truck driver says, "Oh, come on, man. I was just joking. Hey, look, I'll buy you another drink. I just can't stand to see a man cry." And the man just says, "Well, it's not that. This day is the worst day of my life. First, I fall asleep and I go late into my office. My boss cracks his shits and just fires me.
Oh.
When I leave the building, I go out to my car. It's bloody been stolen. Police just said there's nothing they can do. So I got a cab and went home. And when I get there, I remember that my bloody wallet and my credit cards were there. The cab driver just drives away. So I go home and I get there and I finally walk in through the door. I find my wife in bed with the gardener.
Oh, what a tough day.
So he goes, I'll leave home and I come to this bar. Staring at the drink, remember?
Yeah.
He goes, and just when I was thinking about putting an end to my life, that's how bad things were. I mean, it's been the worst day ever.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He says, well, then you come in and you bloody drunk the poison that I had in the glass. Couldn't even kill himself, the poor guy.
Mate, I tell you what, he's struggling with that. That is a shit day for him, isn't it? A big burly truck driver.
That's a classic dad joke if there's ever been one. Now, Donnie, I've got to back that up with another one.
Yes, good.
Got my hand ready on the special effects. It's big on the special
Is
effects,
it?
this one,
Okay.
Donnie.
I know, I'm listening.
And this is the very definition of a dad joke. Right. Just heads up. Oh, God. Here we go. All right. There was once a guy who was going on a date to the movies with a beautiful, stunning girl.
Oh.
Yeah.
Know the feeling.
And before he went, he made the mistake of eating a jumbo can of beans.
Oh.
Yeah, not the smartest move, Donnie.
No.
And right after he picked her up, he felt the need to fart.
Uh-oh.
But you know what? He figured he could wait until they got to the movies. So when they got to the movies, he said, "Oh, do you want to get some popcorn and some Coke?" She said, "Oh, that'd be great." So he goes, "Oh, you beauty, I'll go to the restroom now and we'll do what we got to do." So he goes to the restroom, but the bloody line was huge. It was out the door, and this guy, he's on a hot day. He didn't want to leave her waiting. So he goes, "Oh, you know what? Doesn't matter. I'll go back to the lobby. I'll grab the food and go back into the cinema." So he goes back in. Makes it through the movie. Wouldn't have been easy, but he gets through the movie. He goes, "You know what? I'm just going to go to the bathroom straight away." So he goes to the bathroom, but there's a bloody ridiculously long line again, Don. So he goes, "Oh, bloody hell." He goes, "All right, well, I don't want to leave her waiting. We've had a really good date and I'll just wait until I've dropped her off and then I can just, let one rip and I'll be okay." So he drives her to her driveway, does the right thing, and she goes, "Oh, fantastic. My grandparents are here. You've got to come in and meet them."
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. So he goes, "Well, bloody rude. I can't not go in and see the grandparents." So he goes, "All
I'm
right."
surprised he was ready to
At this point, you can imagine that the old asshole is
bubbling.
about to be crying at this point. Right? So they go in and they sit down at the table, but Donnie finally just couldn't hold it any longer. So he just let it seep out a little at a time, and he squeezed out a little toxic blast.
Are you doing this?
Yeah, like that. The sound effects is good. But he's smart. He aimed it at the family's dog, Brandy.
Oh.
In the hopes that they'll blame the dog for the horrendous fart.
Genius.
Switched on. And the girl's father stands up and he goes, "Brandy!" And then he sits back down. And this guy's thinking, "You bloody beauty." They think it's the dog. So he starts bombarding the room with a couple more powerful, louder ones. You know what's coming.
I'm so glad I saw your hand on that.
So once again, though, the girl's father stands up and she says, "Brandy!" and sits back down.
Dog.
I know, the dog's copping it, right? Poor dog's thinking, what have I bloody done here? Anyway, finally, he goes, just got to let it all go. So he lets out the loudest, most hair-curling fart you've ever heard of or smelt, and it just rippled through the dining room.
Oh, that's still going, JT. That's so...
I told you, it was the biggest one ever, and that's it. The girl's father just stands up and he just yells at the dog and goes, "Brandy, get the hell up from under him before he actually shits on you."
Oh, I wasn't getting away.
What do you think, Donnie?
No, give it a clap.
We're happy with that one?
Yeah,
that gets it?
Yeah. Oh, Brandy, eh?
Yes, for those that know me, I had a dog called Brandy, so there's a little special shout out there for Brandy.
Yep.
Now, Donnie, one of the things that we do after our horrendously funny dad jokes of the week is we get straight into stuff that can actually help people, unlike my dad joke, although having a laugh is a bit of help, isn't it, sometimes?
Yes,
but,
it's important. We need laughs.
We do, but we've got some hacks that we want to share with some
Not
people.
without a stinger. I am really never sure whether I should be washing the clothes or planting flowers when we put that Better Homes and Gardens sort of style stinger on. I love it. Right, JT, life hacks this week are, hey, humans, we haven't been moving much and we have been locked down a bit, but soon you're going to get rolling again and petrol prices are going up. Keep an eye on the petrol cycle. There is such a thing called the petrol cycle.
What's this petrol cycle thing you speak of, Don?
The petrol cycle, without knowing RMA or RACV beside my name, like a doctor, but I do know that petrol is cheaper on about a Tuesday and Wednesday, and there is a cycle. But for those of you that are a bit like you, JT, really bloody tech savvy, like super,
love a bit of tech, yep.
Yes, you do. You would know there's an app.
There is Petrol Spy. It's a great app. If you haven't downloaded it, download it now. It'll save you a fortune. What it does is it basically just shows you on a map all the nearby petrol stations and what the price is. And you can set it for unleaded, diesel, whatever it is in your car. So you can just quickly see who's got the cheapest petrol. It's real time and basically go there. And as I said, it can save you some money very quick. It's a free app, so it doesn't cost you a cent and it's going to save you some money.
Happy days. Any way we can save money, particularly in tough times, is a bloody great day.
Petrol
so
Spy
I say
app. There you
save
go.
money wherever you can and knowing the petrol cycle is it. JT, my next one is we often are using our computers. Obviously, a lot of people working from home, and we go to the same sites. And what happens in the back end? And you're a guru in this space because you've taught me a bit about the old what computers know, algorithms, all that type of stuff. And of course, we've got a couple of websites and different things that we have. And the computers pick up on that and they just take you to where they think you want to go. And so if you want trying to help, that's very kind of them. But sometimes it's not helping you at all because you're not actually finding the new shit. So if you want to find the new stuff, what you can do, JT, is you can go and be incognito.
Hello, what's this mean?
It means like camouflage. So in real terms, it's putting on your camos and going and hiding in the garden. No one can find you, see? So the algorithms don't find that you're going to that same thing because what you do is you go up the top, it says file in, say, Safari or what are those, buddy, Google Chromes,
Chrome.
right? And just
I'll fill a browser.
File, it says new page or new private page. So new private or incognito.
Yep, so private is on Safari and incognito is on Chrome.
That's why you're the guru with the apps and stuff. But those are the two systems, the private and incognito, that can give you a private page. So it basically doesn't store your history and the computer doesn't know. So you're basically a blank canvas. So you can type in there whatever you want. And so I've seen a bit of your history, JT. You should use private a bit more often. But seriously, it's a great way to refresh your computer when it comes to going to websites.
It's a great tip.
That right, mate?
Yeah, it's pretty much spot on, Don. It's a great tip for everyone out there, particularly and when it's really noticeable is if you're looking at travel as an example. So you look at airfares and they'll know that if you've been back 2 or 3 times, they use these things called cookies and they know your IP address and all sorts of stuff. And what you'll find is that the price doesn't get cheaper for you. It actually goes up because they know you're interested. So when you're using a private browser, they don't know that you're previously visited that site. So it's like you're seeing stuff for the first time. Right. So it is a really powerful tool sometimes to not get that biased view of what Google thinks that you're looking for, and it also stops all the ads and stuff being highly personalised because, again, it's like you're like wearing an invisible cloak, basically.
Isn't that a weird thing when all of a sudden you've just looked up
Literally,
a bit of,
it's almost instant.
Oh, that's a bit like stalkerish 101 like that. So, yeah, incognito will help stay under the radar.
Good tip, Donnie. I like it.
Well, mate, what do you got? You've always got some stuff.
Oh, well, look, this one's actually sent in by Melanie, one of our listeners. Thanks, Mel. This is really good. And it's just some self-care strategies for people during COVID. And obviously very appropriate at this moment. So it had, 12 tips. I won't go through all of them, but we will post it on the on our Facebook page, Giddy Up page. But essentially some of the things it said is, one is obviously take one day at a time. And I think sometimes, particularly if you're in Victoria at the moment, it's hard to see sort of what's going to go on next week or the next fortnight. So sometimes just do what you can control and worry about the day it's ahead of you. Thought it was a really good tip. Sorry. Turn off the news is another tip.
Hallelujah, mate.
I know you prescribe to that, Donnie. And look, it's a fine line, isn't it? Because you do want to stay informed at the moment because there's a lot happening and some of that can affect your health or your children's health or whatever it might be. But, geez, it's bloody depressing sometimes, just non-stop.
JT, let me just tell you one little thing about the news. They've got a news bracket. It's typically an hour. So in that, they've got different segments, right? They are, unlike us, we don't have a time constraint on us. They do have. So they have to grab a story or a piece of that story and put it in. So sometimes that story is distorted because you don't get the complete story. So turning off the news just gives you a blank canvas and you can think straight without the distractions.
One of the other tips was something you touched on a bit earlier is make memories with family at home.
Oh, yes.
So we've already spoken about
Gold.
that.
Love
it. Go for a walk or spend some time outside. It's still okay to go for a walk as long as you're wearing a mask.
I walk every day except for Wednesdays, JT. So with Midgie and Boof and Nut, we get up at 6:45, bang, we're out there cutting 5Ks. Love it.
Take a break when you need one.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a good tip. Honestly, I think how many people, you remember at the start of this pandemic, it was like, oh, we're going to be working from home. I'm going to learn a new language. I'm going to learn a new musical instrument. I'm going to blah, 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 blah. Well, I had some of those grand plans too, Donnie. I've got to say, I haven't done any of them, literally not one. And you start beating yourself up a little bit because you hear about all these other people that have done all this amazing shit and you go, but you know what? It's a bloody tough time. And I think, just give yourself a break. I like it. Just survive is bloody good effort right now.
Got one for you, JT.
Shoot.
Set an alarm at some point when you know you want to take a break. Let's call it 3:45. And at 3:45, set that alarm. It goes off every day and you just got to get up and go to the other room where you've left the Kit Kat. So you can take a break and have a little treat.
Chocolate.
Yeah.
I don't need a lot of encouragement for chocolate.
There you go. You've got to have a win as well. The break can't just be... Anyway.
So we'll put that up on our page. There's some other tips there. But Mel, thanks. That was an awesome one to send in.
We love that stuff.
We do love it. Thanks for sending it in. And Donnie, book. Each week you just give a little bit of a snapshot of a good book. What do you got for us this week?
A good book. I've had this one on my shelf for a long, long time. It's How to Talk to Anyone. And I'll tell you why I think it's important, JT, is we get to meet a lot of people and from different ranges, from CEOs and multimillionaires to people that have not made it there yet. They're young, impressionable, straight out of school. And sometimes we just go, shit, how do we do that? And that book, How to Talk to Anyone, just gives good tips of how to have great conversation starters.
Oh, there you go. It's similar to like how win friends and influence people kind of...
Don't know, I haven't read that one yet.
I haven't read that one.
But that might be next.
Well, there you go. No, there's a book recommendation. All right, Donnie, we're into one of our other popular segments. It's not really that popular, but I'm just claiming it. So it's our Heroes and Zeros segment to find out people who've contributed to society in a positive way and those who have let the team down. Now, the Heroes, Donnie, this week is one that you've come up with.
Well, I come up with it because a friend of mine put her hand up and just said, right, what do we need to do? We're on the farm. Let's take a job. Took a job of being one of those cleaners, the COVID cleaners, ripping out. And if you go through any suburb, almost anywhere in Australia, fair income, we've got people that are just out there cleaning, making it safe for us. So hats off to Swifty, my little jockey mate, and to all the cleaners that get out there. They fair dinkum, they go and they meet in the hub. It's like the bloody Melbourne Cup, mate. The gun goes and bang, they're out. They're off and they're jockeying all around town, cleaning, wiping signs and all sorts of stuff, and they're making it safe. So thanks to the Heroes. We bloody love your work.
Well done, guys. Awesome effort. Now, our zero this week, Donnie, I'm just going to play you a little bit of a clip and then I'm going to quickly navigate to the mute button.
Right.
Beg your pardon?
It's all right. I'm just asking if you've got a mask.
Well, it's clear I don't. And you are not authorised to ask me or question me about it.
Would you like to speak to the manager?
Sure.
Stick with us, Donnie.
If you guys aren't wearing a mask.
I actually don't need a medical certificate if you refer to the
please stop
DH.
filming me?
No, I'm allowed to do this.
That's
And you're
exactly
discriminating
I'm not
against
there's no
me.
discrimination. We're all just trying to all be in this together. We all have
All
to
in
wear a
what
mask.
together? I actually don't. And you're not authorised by the Australian government to even question me about it.
Donnie, I just can't play any more of it because it just riles me up. You'd have to be living under a rock if you have not heard the Karen from Bunnings video. That was obviously just a part of it. Donnie, I've got my finger on the button, but I'm interested in your thoughts.
JT, first things first is I know a few Karens, and the ones I know, I really like them. They're good humans.
Good. I like a good start. We're off to a good start here.
That's pretty ordinary form from her. Her name's Cassie, by the way. The Channel 7 crew rocked up the next day to this chick's house, and all of a sudden she called the cops on them who she didn't want to have any involvement with. So what I liked about this, we'll call it Karen, because we'll call it Cassie because she's a flog, but dead set to go with this, you're not authorised to ask me and you're discriminating against me because I'm a woman and I can do all this, and you know what? I would like to know if it's okay to pick up a can of paint and just swing it around and smack her in the head with it, because it's...
Continue violence against women or something.
Oh, no, I don't. You're right, JT, but you know what? Check 1948. I don't know that she's identified as a woman. She's something else, because any other woman worth a pinch of salt would look at that and be disgusted. How would you be if your parents, JT, and look at that and go, you know what, even if you've got an issue with the whole COVID issue, bloody pandemic, and you're too stupid to work out that there are problems in society, you can still, surely you don't need to go to bloody Bunnings staff and have a crack at them around your agenda. Take it to the High Court, you
okay. But one of the things I want to do is give a shout out to the Bunnings staff. Because they were just bloody fantastic.
Yeah, love them.
Well done, guys. That is customer service at its best. They just stood their ground, and I think there's been a lot of public support for how well they handled it. I wanted to put something to you, Don, and I deliberately haven't shown you this, but I wanted to read it out because I think it's important for you and our listeners. And it just hit home for me, and it may or may not for you. But in World War II, I know we're going back a while here.
1940.
Some 40-something. Londoners were asked to black out their homes at night so the enemy bombers wouldn't see the lights and know where to target.
Yep.
Now, no Londoner said, it's my right to have the lights on. Because others would say, well, your light on engages us.
Yep.
Substitute the word light for mask, and where's your argument?
What you'll get, JT, is unfortunately peanuts like this Karen don't see that as their argument. They don't see that because they're so self-righteous and can't see. If she could have any comprehension for another human, she wouldn't be doing what she's doing. That's the problem. They're such selfish pricks that they don't see other people. Like, you can't talk to me. So it's okay for her to go in and say, no, you don't have any right to question me. But somebody's asked her politely, can you stop filming me? Yet no, I'm allowed to do. Really? Where does this bloody
quote
stop?
was, she's a female and I'm allowed to do whatever I like. I think was one of her lines.
There wouldn't be a female on the planet that would look at that and go, yeah, that's our leader. They'd go, you fucking goose.
Yeah, she wouldn't have a lot of supporters. I wouldn't have thought. And if you are a supporter of her, then you're clearly not.
They're probably not tuning into our show.
That's
yes,
exactly
that's
right.
More people should call that shit out. And that's one of the problems with this is they're allowed to get oxygen. Here we are talking about stuff, but let's move on.
Right. We're moving on. Well, Donnie, celebrities.
I love them.
Who we got this week, Donnie? Because, my celebrity network is, zero. So it's all on you, this segment. What have you got for us? Because I know each week you scour the world trying to come up with the best celebrities you can get for us.
And then usually I can't get them, and so because they won't take my call, and so I have to really beg my friends to do it. And fortunately, some of those friends,
got some good friends.
Some of them are bloody awesome. And like today's one is the great Lauren Burns. Now, Lauren Burns,
gold medalist.
Olympic gold medalist at the Sydney 2000 Games. And when you get to, what was really funny is when we went through our careers similar times. So Kathy Freeman, Lauren Burns, Tamsin Lewis. There's a whole lot of us. That crew that went through, and James Tompkins, they're just good people. But overnight, they become household names.
Yep.
And I remember with Boof, we were sitting there watching the Olympics on TV, watching Lauren's gold medal fight, and I shit you not, mate, I jumped up out of our bed. It was like I thought I was bloody a Ninja Turtle at the time because I was just going, yeah, I was so inspired by watching somebody that I'd seen walking down, or not walking, but fighting down the Victorian Institute of Sport hallway, meow, 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 making all these bloody sounds, and like you looked at him and go, holy shit, that's the real. I want to be friends with her because if I get in this shit, she's got me back. Yeah. But so anyway, Burnsy's our celebrity guest today.
Fantastic.
And this is what we asked her.
Hi guys, it's Lauren Burns here, Olympic gold medalist for Taekwondo. And when I think about what would I change, what would I do differently looking back at my career, probably one of the things that comes to mind is that really to back myself. And I did that to a certain degree, and there was a lot of, coming from a martial art, there was a lot of sort of traditional ways of doing things, and there was like this merging into the world of sports science. And you know, this was the first time that Taekwondo was a full medal sport at the Olympic Games coming into Sydney, so it was really exciting. We were able to draw on the resources of the VIS and, you know, the AIS, and we had, you know, all this support and knowledge that we had access to, and yet we still had some pretty old style, dare I say, detrimental training practices, and ones that really, they caused a lot of lifelong injuries for athletes. And at the time, I butted up against some of my coaches, and we had big arguments. And I guess the advice I'd have to myself is, yeah, you're right. And I know that sounds terrible. Oh, yeah, I was right. But just sometimes when you know that actually you know the right thing for your body or what you should be doing. And I think often with athletes this is the case. They do have a really strong sense of what they need and what's right for them. And sure, they need to be pushed or challenged or, you know, in order to grow. And, you know, you don't want someone to skirt around any issues or that sort of thing. But I think when it comes at a risk, you have to stand up for yourself. And so I think, yeah, my advice going back is just, yeah, you're right. Back yourself. Trust what you know is true. And in saying that, going into the games, you know, I felt really aligned with my coach. So although we'd had a lot of sort of angst, I guess, and, you know, we really sort of knew where each other was coming from, and that was a really good thing. So my question for you guys is, what characteristics make a great team? So what are the characteristics of various team members? They might have different roles. You know, it might be the coach or teammates, physio, masseur, support networks, friends, family. But what are some of the characteristics and the attributes that really make a strong team? Can't wait to hear your response.
I tell you what, I love that. Like, what I love the most, JT, is Burnsy. Loz hasn't changed from way back when we were, you know, 20 years ago, getting around. I love the fact that she said she had some angst with the coach, but she would give herself the advice to back herself. That's such an incredible thing to say. You know, when your coach is your holy grail, they are the God of they're going to take you to this place. You're willing to do whatever they say. So sometimes your voice is equal to theirs, which is a weird thing, but awesome. What does it take to make a great team, mate? I've been very fortunate in my time to work with some amazing teams, and one of the teams I worked with at some stage was leading teams, and they had some great philosophies around how to build a team. I went and did a bit of research and started my own facilitation model around great teams, and one thing all the great teams have got is they're clear on their purpose. They've got some agreed behaviours. So they know that the team is going to roll this way, and if you move outside of the behaviours, somebody within that team is going to bring you back in. And they put work, they invest time and energy on getting the culture right. And that culture is around communication and relationships. So strong professional relationships, being able to agree to disagree and know that it's okay. That's part of what we're doing. So, mate, I think that's what I've seen from any great team, and I just reckon that was awesome. Thanks, Loz.
That was awesome, Loz, and you can just tell how genuine she sounds. I've never met Lauren, but
she's a cracker.
Just comes across, doesn't it, in your voice?
And I'll tell you what, when you get her doing gigs and presenting, like, she'll have the whole group up breaking boards and shit. Like, if you're after a motivational speaker and entertainer, Lauren Burns is one to get.
There we go, good tip. And I'd love to explore. You can just tell that passion that comes in your voice, Donnie, when you're talking about teams and what makes successful teams. So I think that's something we'll love to explore a bit deeper in some other episodes because I'm realising this one's been going a while already, right? So on that note, we better move on to our next segment. So audience Q&A, Donnie, what do you got for us?
Yes, right.
A lot.
Mate, I've had a few people come to me this week, and of course Jake took time out from his busy schedule of giving birth. Well, he didn't give it, but his beautiful wife Kylie did give birth to their little baby boy Clem.
Hey, congratulations.
Yes, and Jake and I worked together on the Brisbane Lions Emerging Leaders Program. They gave us the group a few years back, about 4 or 5 years ago, and they said, these are the guys we believe will be holding up the next Premiership Cup. Just quietly.
They're on track, aren't they?
They're going okay. So
are you claiming that, Donnie?
Bloody oath I am. Yeah, I'll claim all this. Like I spoke at Hawthorn when Peter Schwab was there, and have a look how well they've gone.
Did all right after
since
that.
then, a few premierships. Yeah, so I spoke at the Bulldogs before they. Hello.
They won a flag. There's a link here, Don.
I don't want to put too much. Anyway, yes, I do. I'm bloody right off it. Now, audience Q&A. So Jake took time out to say, boys, loving your podcast. Keep it up. Keep it real. Another person who's told us that he wasn't quite a huge fan of ours.
Oh.
Because, well, I'll tell you what he did. Is he started his jog and he said, I'm going to keep jogging until I get through this episode. So Mick bloody ended up 12K away from home by the time he'd finished the episode. So Mick, hats off for listening to the episode, and sorry you had to get an Uber home, mate. So anyway.
Apologies, Mick, if you're listening to this episode because you'll be a bit knackered about now, I reckon.
Lost, I reckon. That's right. So, but he might be listening to this in the car going down to see Pete. So Pete's his dad, and I got to meet Pete a few years ago, and cracking bloke. But how good's this? Ken played golf.
Okay.
Played golf, has had 3 holes in one.
3.
His last hole in one was last weekend. So I tell you what, boom. Nick and the boys, we were bloody celebrating. It was awesome. So well done, Pete. Well done, Mick and the whole crew. Loved your work. Now, we did have some feedback. We had C. Brown wrote in and said, listen, via Twitter, he's asked, Premier Dan, when you give your daily figures on COVID, could you also include the suicide numbers, the business closures and the homeless numbers as well, and everything else that's associated? Bloody good point, isn't it?
I'd love to hear that data.
Hey, I'll tell you what, that's interesting. So,
got a conspiracy theory, Don, that we don't have time to explore in this episode, but trying to do some research a couple of weeks ago and some more this week, there is a lot of data that is being suppressed at the moment.
Yeah, right.
As in removed.
We will have an exploration of that one. And my final shout out, JT, that comes through the Q&As is I was having a chat to an old school mate, and I'll tell you what, I've mentioned a couple today, but one of them has got the nod for the top job at the CBA. Watsy. Bloody awesome, mate. He went to Finley High School, boy. It was actually his old man that busted me gambling out the front of the deputies. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's not important.
So put that into context. Watsy, the guy you went to school with, who took all your cash, he's now actually heading up. He's literally CEO of Commonwealth Bank.
Mate, 48. Well, what am I, 44? He'd be about 45. Yep.
Mate, it's bloody awesome.
It's awesome. It is. That's impressive. So well done, Watsy. It's really, I know he listens to our podcast and all the Finley guys, they do.
Of course they will.
Bloody legend. That's just such a wonderful achievement.
Mate, it's a good effort. And you know what? The one thing I do like about Watsy, having never met the bloke, but I've actually seen him on the box a bit and listened to a bit of stuff, actually. He's very customer focused, which, I love.
There you go. You do like, mate, you and Watsy got a lot in common. He's pretty tall too.
He's very smart and I'm not.
He's making a shit, like.
Probably he's making a fortune.
You're both male models, hey? Right. Yeah. Talking of blowtorch, JT.
Yeah. Oh, God, Donnie.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Donnie. I've already said how pissed off I was about the COVID testing, so I'm not going to go there. Okay. Obviously, that deserved a segment in here alone.
It did. And Karen, she deserved it.
But I wanted to talk this time about call centres again, Don, because I had an incident. I won't mention the company because, to be honest, it happens everywhere.
Okay.
I rang up and, of course, they need to validate you, don't they? They don't know who you are. Can you before we start, Justin, can you just confirm your date of birth, your full address, your bloody blah, blah, blah. So you go through all this rigmarole and you give it to them and then you explain what's going on. They say, I'm going to have to put you through to our technical support team. No worries. So they put me through to the technical support team. And what do you reckon they asked me, Don, before we get started?
You got a cold transfer, didn't you?
Before we get started. No, they knew it was Justin. But before we get started, Justin, can I just get you to confirm your date of birth, your full address.
No.
I'm like, I've already done this, guys. Well, I need to go through it again. Oh, my God. It happens everywhere, and I'm sure some of our listeners are probably just banging their head right now.
Not at the good call centres it doesn't, because that's right. A warm transfer.
It wouldn't happen at the good call centres, but it happens way too often in the call centre game, so everyone needs to lift their game. Yep. There is some new tech, Dom.
Ooh.
I do love my tech. It's called Voice Biometrics.
Oh.
And it's already been used by Centrelink.
Okay.
And it's used by the ATO. And what it is, your voice print. So when you talk, your voice print is actually more accurate than your fingerprint.
Huh?
So what happens is what we do in call centers now is we convert your voice into a digital file, basically, and we can identify you on your voice alone.
Turn it up.
And you know what? Most people are using that every day already, using Siri on your phone. Obviously, if I say, "Hey Siri," I shouldn't have said that because she'll be listening. Phones are lit up. Yeah. But it would be my phone lining up, not yours, right? Because again, there is some tech in there that's going, who am I listening to here?
Right.
That's all using voice biometrics technology. So it's now being used in call centers. So now when you ring the ATO, it's doing that when you're talking to someone. They don't even have to ask to validate because it's happening already. Wow. So you go through a one-time only voice verification process. I remember doing that
a few years ago. I never thought nothing of it.
That's it. And now every time you ring, you don't need to go through that process again. So look out for voice biometrics. It is really useful technology. It is very hard to be fraudulent against.
Right.
And in worst case scenario, if the system just goes, you know what, for whatever reason, it's too hard. And believe it or not, a cold and getting old doesn't actually make a difference.
Really?
It's
so pretty
good tech. But if there's ever a situation when for whatever reason it can't identify you, then you can always revert back to manual.
And answer a few questions.
Yeah, that's right. So, but it is a huge time saver both for the customer and for the business, because you think time is money in call centers, and if I've got to waste a minute of every phone call just validating someone when I could do that automatically, there's a minute back on every call.
That's right.
That's actually a big dollar figure that they're saving, and your customers are happier too. So it's a win-win. So voice biometrics, there you go.
It's pretty lovely to see you in a happy mood, JT, when it comes to the blowtorch, because you're usually an angry camper. I nearly got angry about the customer blowtorch. I had Telstra just switch me straight over to email billing.
Oh, so no paper bills anymore? Gone?
No, well, I didn't ask for that, JT.
But they're trying to help you out, mate. They're just
JT, I'm going to
tell you the environment.
I'm going to give you a little tip, and I said to this just last night.
If you
have not been hacked, so I got hacked on Christmas Eve, and my PayPal account got stripped, right? The day before Christmas. So clearly everyone's on holidays, getting on it, and no one around to help me with that, right? And I just thought all these things, I'm in trouble. And so I don't like email bills because I don't know if it's bullshit. So I'd rather just send it to me in paper.
So you feel if it's sent to you in paper, it's got a bit more authenticity.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So, mate, that's it. I'm filthy Telstra. I've asked them to fix it. Hopefully they'll fix it.
Well, Telstra on the ball. I'm sure there'll be no problems whatsoever, Don. What else we got?
That's it.
Nah, come on. There's got to be more.
Mate, we've spent bloody three. Mick is probably now in Timbuktu. He's at the border. He can't get across.
Shit, sorry, Mick. So, look, guys, we have set up our Facebook page now. So we have. So good. Just go Giddy Up Facebook page, get on it. Of course, share the group, all that usual sort of stuff, Donnie. But to be honest, people don't really give a shit about that. They're really interested in you getting the timing right.
Right, here we go. I'm just going to listen.
I really want you to focus this time, Donnie. No, don't go too early.
Giddy up.
Oh, not bad. I like that. I like it. All right, our good people there in YouTube land. Now, look, I was pretty pumped last week. I think we had about 7 people watch the video last week, Donnie. Yeah, I'm pumped.
That's it. Good. My mum's one of them.
Yeah, I might have watched it when I was just to making sure it works. Yeah, so basically just our family.
One of you out there has watched it.
One maybe a legit person. To you, we say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We've got a special treat for anyone that's watching, though, Don, because it's obviously
it's
pulling in the big crowd.
Got your gear off. And
I was
thinking
of not doing that. Again, we give people a chance to throw in a request.
Yeah, I tell you what, any requests you want, this is the time to do it. So everyone else, they've already switched off their little podcasts and stuff. You're here. Your call. What do you want?
Bring it on.
Bring it.
All right, we'll see you next week.
We'll hold up your name. Anything you want.
Bye-bye.
Hooroo.